Hi, I'm Cess, and I'm here to talk about Blinded by Light. You asked for it, and here it finally is. A video about the most iconic soundtrack in the Final Fantasy XIII trilogy. Once you've been exposed to Blinded by Light, there's no going back. It will live rent-free in your brain for the rest of your life. This breakdown is not going to be a lore dive or a character study. Not my usual style, but Blinded by Light is a special case. The thing about this soundtrack is that it only makes sense if you at least occasionally take lightning out of the picture. Unconventional statement, I know, but hear me out. Blinded by Light and Lightning's theme are two separate soundtracks, but their names are often used interchangeably. They're so similar that the only thing that really sets them apart is the instrumentalization. They've got the same motifs, they have the same basic structure, and then there's the ever-present violin, which usually represents lightning in these games. So there's clearly a strong connection between these soundtracks, but should Blinded by Light really be seen as a version of Lightning's theme? My answer to that chicken or the egg dilemma would be no. A very tentative no. From a narrative point of view, the Blinded by Light variations only make sense if you split them into two categories. The ones that belong to Lightning and the ones that don't. It all comes down to what their purpose is. Is the soundtrack meant to give us a deeper understanding of Lightning as a character, or is it just there? This question is mostly relevant in the first game, but it's worth keeping it in mind in the sequels too. The Lightning variations are obviously centered around Lightning, and they evolve in a way that matches her character development. Most of the cutscene soundtracks fall into this category. They let us hear what Lightning is thinking or feeling without her having to say it out loud. They give us context and subtext and insight that we wouldn't have had without the music. So, yeah, some variations of Blinded by Light are for all intents and purposes Lightning's theme. But not all of them. That brings me to the not Lightning variations. This is where we find the original Blinded by Light, because in the original game, it's just a battle theme. Even if you switch Lightning out of the active party, the soundtrack will still be there. This version of Blinded by Light does not belong to Lightning. It belongs to the game. The Lightning Returns variations are complicated. Is it possible to overuse a character theme to the point where it loses all narrative meaning? I don't know, but the answer to that question is probably hidden somewhere within the battle themes of Lightning Returns. And then we have the appearances. Blinded by Light has a tendency to just show up in seemingly unrelated soundtracks. Let's just say that some of those little cameos used to drive me insane. I tried so hard to find their connection to Lightning, but no matter what I came up with, it was always such a stretch. Two examples that really stand out to me are Dust to Dust, which is Oerba's location soundtrack, and Fang's theme. I guess it's a win for the Fangrai shippers, but from a narrative point of view, this is why we need those categories. I just want things to make sense. I personally believe that the easiest way to dodge these mental gymnastics is to treat Blinded by Light as an independent component of the Final Fantasy XIII trilogy. a lightning adjacent component, but ultimately independent. It's a battle theme, it's a character theme, it's a secret ingredient that you can just sprinkle on top of anything to add a bit of spice. Blinded by Light has a life of its own, and the trilogy would not be the same without it. That sure was a rant, but now that I've gotten it out of my system, let's break that soundtrack down. I'll start with the obvious. Blinded by Light is brilliant. The combination of electric and acoustic instruments gives it such a unique sound, and it really fits the trilogy's half sci-fi, half fantasy setting. Blinded by Light doesn't really sound like jazz, but it's jazz. There's a lot of rock in it too, but the offbeat rhythm and the extended chords are definitely jazz-coded. The soundtrack does stick to a consistent 4/4 time signature all the way through, but the melody doesn't really seem to care all that much about that. Jazz. The actual structure of Blinded by Light is surprisingly simple. We have the intro, the verse, the chorus, the bridge, and then the loop. No, those are not official names, but it's what we're going with. There is a short little outro thing going on between the bridge and the loop, but it's just the intro in a different key. We're not gonna... Nah. There's going to be a lot of sheet music on screen from here on out, but like I always say, there's nothing wrong with not being fluent in this particular notation system. This is just me trying to visualize my messy rambling. And I like pointing at things. Okay, so Blinded by Light is all about repetition. The main motif of every part repeats itself at least once before moving on to the next, which is one of the reasons why the soundtrack is so memorable. Let's take a brief look at the chorus. We have this very repetitive 4-note pattern that keeps coming back in different rhythms. We have the starting note, then we go down a fifth, then up 1 note, and then down 1 note, and then we repeat, and repeat, and repeat. This is why the melody sticks. Those 4 notes will needle their way into your brain and stay there forever. All of this will hopefully make more sense when we listen to the soundtrack. I'll be using simplified sheet music to just show you the melody of each part, but I do have a full piano arrangement too with proper sheet music. I'll add a link in the description. Okay, I think I've covered everything I need to cover. Let's listen to Blinded by Light. Intro. We're already so offbeat. Verse. This is just 12 straight bars of B minor, by the way. Repeat. I love this combination of instruments, it's so good. And here we go. Chorus. 4-note pattern. Up we go, same pattern. And the bridge. Cooling down. And the little outro thing, which is the intro in a different key. And that's the loop. we're back in the intro. So, yeah. Intro, verse, chorus, bridge, loop. Repetition, repetition, repetition. That's Blinded by Light. Thank you guys for giving me yet another opportunity to rant about music. This was probably not the video you expected from me, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. If you made it this far, you could always press the like button or maybe even subscribe. What I'd love the most though is to hear your thoughts about this soundtrack. No need to be shy, we're all infected by the same Blinded by Light virus here. Go wild. With that said, I am done. Bye!